Yo, we back with the Sports Bag Bros podcast on a Thursday. The last time you saw us, it was Monday, right after the Super Bowl, as the Kansas City Chiefs took on San Francisco, and now two-time Super Bowl champs looking for a three-peat in the 2024 season. But how much has happened between Monday and now Thursday, not just in the NFL, but everywhere, but definitely shining brightly, not just on the NFL games, but what's happening because of the NFL team that won the championship, the Kansas City Chiefs, at their championship parade.
Man, it's terrible, man. I just don't understand. I could never relate to that.
Nope.
There's just so many damn losers in this world with don't give a damn about others, their well-being, no love for other people. It's just a shame, man.
And to see that it was juveniles, as the news is coming out, juveniles were responsible for it. Their own little issue they may have had with one another, they take it out in front of almost 1 million or approximately 1 million fans who came out to celebrate with the Kansas City Chiefs getting their second Super Bowl in a row.
I think it's part of like the whole timeout thing. Like I'm not saying kids should get abused, but when you touch them up when they're little, they learn.
And that's the truth.
They learn, man. Again, and I'm not advocating for whippings with belts or switches or nothing like that, but a slipper on the butt goes a long way.
You know what? When you look at this, it starts going into that realm of the social aspect of it, not just the athletics that we're talking about in sports that comes along with it. We're talking about the way things are, and these kids who were caught. Chances are, what are the chances, should I ask? There's a father in the house who could have done all of that, because at a certain time when a kid's growing up, there's not so much a mother can continue to do that's going to keep him under control. Or has she already lost him to the streets to where he's out there with his boys who are already in their own right under the wrong influence, and they're part of something like this? And it's a toxic cycle that continues and sometimes culminates in this nonsense here.
Yeah, it's just very unfortunate. We're getting away from sports. This is probably a topic for another day, a special show unto itself.
Oh, absolutely. But because of it doing what has to do with sports, with Kansas City winning the championship as they have, winning the Super Bowl for their second straight time, this pissed on the parade. This literally pissed on the parade. And it now becomes part of the conversation, the national conversation, which politics kind of plays a role because of the 2024 election coming up. And then also, it just one of those instances where sports and social events intertwine, and it almost makes you speak about it because it's the big elephant in the room right now.
Yeah, it's the world we live in, right? I recall maybe 2-3 summers ago, there were some shootings, and it hasn't happened in my area. I mean, I live in the Chicago area, but those are not, one person losing their mind and just shooting up a crowd. And, that's everyday violence, a totally different thing going on. And I don't live in Chicago. I live in Northwest Indiana, 10 minutes away. But anyway, we went to a summer festival, and I was sitting there, and I just happened to look up, and on top of one of the buildings, I see policemen up there with rifles. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. So that's the world we live in. I wasn't in fear for my life or anything, but it was good to know someone was looking out for us if our lives were in danger. And that's just the world we live in now. It's a shame, man.
You look at this, and now that you speak about it, under normal circumstances, even a parade like this is kind of normal circumstances, just celebratory. It makes you think about what happens when a president's in town, when the snipers are on top of roofs everywhere, or if you go to anywhere, there's a president or some high official in town. It's the same way. I mean, I was here in Jacksonville when the vice president came through Pence a while back, and every road was blocked. And you go up to D.C. anytime any president, whether it was Trump, whether it's Biden right now, or anyone in between, the same military presence you have. And this is the way we have to live right now. And just remember, about 10 years ago, the marathon bomber in Boston, the Boston Marathon bomber, same deal. Yeah. So we're not just talking about black kids going awry. We're talking about mental knuckleheads having their issues and pushing their agenda that way, trying to show you how pissed off they are by doing something like that.
That's true. It's just very unfortunate, man.
Yeah, man. So now moving forward, man, I mean, you really have to think about this. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. You're having a parade there. Who's to say some knucklehead wants to be known, or somebody thinks now we have copycats here? This type of thing is a possibility. Now the next Super Bowl parade or next big parade, World Series parade, hockey parade, NHL parade, what now? This is something you really got to think about as a participant or even someone going to the parade just for the enjoyment to celebrate. You have to look up and wonder, you know what, is it now worth it? And you look at the history of a lot of this, what's going on, from even Las Vegas at a concert when a guy's shooting from a hotel. I mean, all of this crap just kind of coming to a head.
You know, you can't live your life in fear, though.
You can't.
You can't. You know, you can't let people like that change what you're going to do, how you're going to live your life. But maybe those who are setting up the program, the parade, the concerts, the celebration, whatever it is, they have to heighten security. You know, you have to have people on the ground. You have to check places where somebody could hide. You know what I mean? Or eliminate places where people can ambush others. You can't have situations where there's open opportunities for people to do damage.
It's so difficult because there was an upwards of 800 police officers trying to maintain approximately 1 million people. That's an impossibility. The largest police force in the country is the New York City Police Department, and they have thousands and thousands, and that's hardly enough for New Year's when the ball is dropping. I've been down there from 92 going into 93, looking at that huge, huge crowd. And as many police officers were down there, if some knucklehead had decided to do something or multiple knuckleheads decided to do something, it was going to get done because there's just not enough police officers. I mean, you don't want to live in fear, but you have to be cognizant of knowing these things are a possibility. And if you're good with that and you know that, go to the event you plan on going to. I mean, hopefully the excitement of the event kind of takes it off your mind so you're not sitting there worrying and agonizing over or wondering if something's going to happen. Enjoy the moment and just kind of, enjoy the moment. It's just that this kind of a thing kind of opens your eyes again. And I know people will kind of close their eyes a little bit a few weeks from now or a month from now. And then the next incident, they're back open again. This is just the way it's been going for the past several years. Anytime something like this happens, either here, the marathon bomber up in Boston, or even some of these school shooters we've been seeing.
You're 100% correct, man. But
let's move this thing on to sports, man. We got to get this thing on to mainstream sports now, but I thought it was worth talking about that because it is the big story right now, and it did affect the sports world, the Chiefs and particularly the NFL and fans, period. Football is America's passion. Maybe not necessarily the pastime that baseball is, but it's America's passion. And those people came out there to celebrate their team. That's it. But now we move on because the NFL is now in its off season. Things are starting to bubble up, and it didn't take much time for Steve Wilkes to leave San Francisco, not on his own volition, by the way.
So you look at the Super Bowl. The offense struggled at times. The special teams had two blunders, a blocked PAT. The ball hits the guy in the ankle, sets up the Chiefs for their first touchdown when they could hardly even move the ball. And you look at all the things that went wrong for the 49ers. You don't think the DC is going to get fired because of what went wrong. They didn't lose that game because of the defense. I don't know. It's a head scratcher. But
it is.
The funny thing is, Shanahan says it's not a move he wanted to make. Then why'd you make it? I don't know what's he saying. Is he
John
talking out of his mouth?
That wasn't John Lynch's decision. That was his decision. I don't even think John Lynch gave him an option of, you know what, you either do this or that. Because you still got to the Super Bowl, so you're not getting fired. I don't think they needed to make that many changes, especially when you look at how close the game was to begin with all the mistakes that were made on both sides. You still had every chance in the world to win, regardless of what the defense did.
Right. And working from home today, I saw shows I usually don't watch or get to see. And Alcho on Speak, he said when Wilkes was hired, he questioned it. And he said, I don't know how the brother got my number, but he texted me. And they ended up having a conversation and came to an understanding. But his point is, why did they hire him from the jump? It was
Yeah.
not a good fit. And then you look at the play where Shanahan ran up to the ref calling timeout because they were in zero blitz package, and he doesn't want that call. If you don't want your DC making that call, why'd you hire him if you know that's the kind of DC he is? So Acho has a really good point. He should have never been fired. And the most unfortunate thing is a lot of the jobs have been taken up already. So now he doesn't have
Yeah.
any opening to interview for. But when you think about it, how many times does the DC of the Super Bowl
Oh,
team
well, that's the same
lose
thing.
their job? So usually it's not an issue. But I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's a bad move. I'm with Acho. You shouldn't have hired him. You know what he's like. You know he's aggressive. If you don't like his aggression, don't hire him.
Yeah,
But
but now
don't fire him because he's doing what he does.
because it's the biggest game of the year, the Super Bowl, the championship on the line. They look at it now because all year long he may have been doing the same thing. I haven't watched the 49ers every game this season, but I think
Right.
we've seen enough of their games because they were a top team and the defense, I guess, disguised his deficiencies if there were any at all because they had so much talent. I'm just thinking that, like you said, you get to the Super Bowl, everything's well until it's not well. I mean, most of the things that went wrong weren't the fault of the defense, for
Right.
the most part. And then you fire the defensive coordinator. And the irony of all ironies, in my opinion, is Kyle Shanahan came from Atlanta running and screaming from Atlanta after their collapse offensively and defensively, defensively and offensively in Atlanta when they lost the Super Bowl. And he got his job with San Francisco because of it. The whole defensive staff was fired in Atlanta over that, the collapse. But yeah, it's just ironic to me that pretty much he ran from a burning house, ends up here, and now you're going to kick a guy out of the house who helped get you to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Again, I don't agree with it. I don't think Wilkes did anything to earn being fired. So good luck to him. Maybe there's an opening somewhere. Hopefully he'll land on his feet. But I think it's just passing the buck and not really looking in the mirror to what the real problem was.
And then
when you call 9 pass plays out of 10 and you were running the ball effectively, I think you got to look on the other side of the ball, coach.
But luckily for him, he's the head coach and he can make those decisions. And unless John Lynch says something specific that's going to get him out of there, well, he can make some of the calls. I still doubt John Lynch pressured him to get rid of Wilkes. And also knowing the subliminal firestorm that may come after that, because automatically, like once again, you go to the Super Bowl, you think everything is okay, you just fell short. You want to keep as many pieces in place as possible if you're going to make a run again next season on the team, especially when you have the players. Well, the defensive coordinator kind of works its way into that as well. Well, now people want to think that it may be a race issue. And I'm here to say that I don't believe it's a race issue because we've had coaches in the NFL who were white, non-black, also getting fired very quickly after one season. Frank Reich this year alone. Come on, man. The guy couldn't stay in Indy, couldn't stay in Carolina. And you look back at Pete Carroll before he became Pete Carroll of Seattle, was Pete Carroll for 1 year in New York. So, I mean, it happens. I just don't think it should have happened under these circumstances to Steve Wilkes.
I agree. And I agree that it's not racial. I don't believe this was racial in any way. But, if it was racial, he probably wouldn't have been hired in the first place.
Exactly. This is what we're dealing with. I mean, this is the world we're in right now. This is a bizarre world where everything has to begin and end with race. It just can't be because of performance, even though I think they're wrong if they used it based on performance. However he came to the conclusion, it's a done matter right now. I still think Steve Wilkes will get his opportunity. Someone's going to find a way for him, even if it's college football. Spring practice is about to start up. A nice time to get a coach if you need to at a top program. In the way things have been going in college football, things kind of changing, people changing positions and teams. You know, you get an offensive coordinator. I think O'Brien was the offensive coordinator for Ohio State, then goes over to Boston College. You know what I mean? Because that's a better job. Craziness. But anyways, I mean, this is
that's a good point. I didn't even think about him going to college.
Yeah, as a head coaching job, I guess that lets people know that regardless of the head coaching job, it's still a nice job to have, even if it's Boston College, which used to be a pretty proud football program in the past. I mean, was it Chip Kelly just left UCLA to take an offensive coordinator job in the Big Ten? I'm like, what's going on here? And Deshaun Foster, former running back for UCLA, now the head coach there. But in any event, this is just a bizarre world of sports that we're talking about. I was looking at some news a little earlier. You just had 2 players in with your Chicago Bears who ended up leaving today, or was it yesterday? Eddie Jackson and Cody Whitehair?
Yes, sir. Get the hell out of town. Eddie Jackson ain't made a decent play since he got his contract, man.
He did say that early last season.
He got his bag and he started making business decisions. Running back coming up the middle, man, he's praying somebody else tackles him before it gets to him. Man, I swear, man, that dude should have had I don't know what's it called in the bull ring, the thing they tease the bulls with. Should have had one of those because that's where he that was his tackling strategy. Or let me see if I can ole him, get him down. Man, he ain't never pushed nobody back. If he made a tackle, it's 4 yards from where he made contact. That dude's a scrub.
That's what they were saying about Deion Sanders, the way he used to tackle the little ole, put the little regular handkerchief, ole.
Yeah, at least Deion would take half a field away, though.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of had compensating factors there. But yeah, Eddie Jackson out of there. So, hey, maybe not a big deal. But with the draft picks that Chicago has coming up in this draft, and still probably some moves that can't be made, especially if they give up that number 1 pick overall, I mean, you can only make the team better if you have an upper management or ownership that knows what they're doing and getting these players to come and try to really build a team instead of just adding people just because.
Right.
Yeah, but man, it's been a few things in the NFL right now because we're going into we're in the off season, and then the combine's coming up. The Senior Bowl already passed. Cliff Kingsbury is up in Washington with the Commanders. He wants a mobile quarterback. Sam Howell is a mobile quarterback. He can move. I mean, he's not going to run around like Mahomes, but he can move. He has pocket awareness, and he wants that kind of quarterback in his system. I mean, he had Kyler Murray down, and we saw what happened. Nothing. Come on.
So that's code for if the Bears don't draft Caleb Williams, they're drafting Caleb Williams. If the Bears do draft Caleb Williams, then they're drafting Jaden Daniels.
Man, what's this deal with Caleb Williams? I mean, I've watched him play for a few seasons now. And, I mean, you're impressed because you see what you see on the college field. But really, is he that good to where he can demand where he stays? I mean, like Eli Manning didn't want to play anywhere but New York. And I remember being at that draft, I'm hearing the people in the audience say a whole bunch of nonsense about him. Now, as they screaming out when he wanted to go to New York. But is he that kind of player? Is he like Eli Manning was coming out of Ole Miss? I mean, I would like to believe based on his numbers, he's better. But the eyeball test going against the talent he played against, I don't know about that.
I don't know. So we've talked about this before. I think Caleb Williams is a diva. I think Drake May's overrated. He struggled against not even the best teams in the ACC. He started out hot and then he got really cold.
Yeah, very.
I just think he's overrated. So my guy is Jaden Daniels. But if you think about it, Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks usually don't pan out in the NFL.
No, they don't do too well.
Caleb Williams has a Heisman. Jaden Daniels has a Heisman. Drake May does not have a Heisman.
And Patrick Mahomes didn't have a Heisman.
Right.
Baker Mayfield.
Maybe Drake May is the guy. I don't know.
Incidentally, you look at these quarterbacks and you think about Jaden Daniels and you look at the Heisman itself. Is it as important as it used to be? I remember always wondering who the Heisman was going to go to, whether quarterback, running back, because typically that's who it's going to go to. And over the past several years, I haven't really cared. Literally have not cared about who won the Heisman. And it's not like these players don't. It helps them marketing wise and otherwise. It gets you into the Heisman house. But Jaden Daniels, I think with or without a Heisman, he's probably the best pick out there. It's just a matter, in my opinion, because of his measurables of getting him at the right value, which is still high, but not number one overall.
Remains to be seen. Now, we don't even know if the Bears going to keep the pick yet. So
yeah, well,
um,
DJ Moore's vouching for Justin Fields, and if you're going to keep Justin Fields, you can't. I mean, really, just to keep the media at bay and fans at bay. I mean, you hear up there more than I do on the radio. How is there a consensus one way or the other when it comes down to whether Justin Fields should be there, or should they just roll the dice with these draft picks they have in the first round?
So if you listen to the hosts on the radio, it's pretty much a done deal. Get rid of Justin. But as far as fans, it's probably fit to split maybe 50-50, 60-40. I mean, you got a lot of people who will die on that hill for Justin Fields. They say the Bears haven't done right by him. They say give him some weapons, give him a lineman, do this, do that, and he'll show you. They don't want him to go to another team and win a Super Bowl. I can't even put Justin Fields and Super Bowl in the same sentence, so I don't know what those guys are talking about.
Man, and then you have DJ Moore, his teammate, which was a big piece coming from Carolina, also vouching for him. I think that holds more weight than anyone else outside of the coach and management.
True, but he kind of backed off those comments. He said he recognizes it's a business and it's not up to him to decide who the quarterback is. Basically, he's saying no matter what happens, I'm good. So I don't know if somebody got in his ear or somebody told him something.
Yeah,
or
they did. He changed his mind.
Yeah. So, while he supports Justin, if Justin's not there, he said he's cool with it too. So,
yeah, but the locker room, inside the locker room is just a different dynamic. You come out there, you vouch for your guy, then you kind of take it back, walk it back because someone said something. Obviously, most likely said something. The bottom line is, this is going into his fourth year. The third season is typically the year you would see whether you have a guy or not. He has this team right on the cusp of making a real decision. By the third season, you should already know this is the guy, this is not the guy, and if he's not the guy, let's get a pick for him. San Francisco did that with Trey Lance, and they didn't wait 3 years, So I think a lot of that's open. But with these options they do have at the quarterback position coming out, it makes it a little easier for them, but it kind of sets them back as well because now you're talking about maybe another 3-year window unless people think they can get the next CJ Stroud and see some results immediately.
My thing is, how can you justify having the first pick in the draft 2 years in a row and you don't take a quarterback either year? Yeah, I can't see how anybody justifies that. If we had Patrick Mahomes, if we had Josh Allen, if we had Justin Herbert, if we had Matthew Stafford, I can understand you don't need a quarterback, but you need a fucking quarterback, Chicago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can see that because the team did start playing well last season, especially defensively. But yeah, that quarterback spot, man, that's probably been the Achilles for the past couple of decades, hasn't it? I mean, Jim McMahon, I guess, when you can go back to the 85 Bears, was the guy.
Jay Cutler had a couple.
Jay Cutler, coming from Denver.
Couple decent seasons. Back in the day, I mean, Rex Grossman had a decent season, but
got you to the Super Bowl.
The funny thing is, like, there was nobody calling Rex Grossman the game manager, but that's what he was. He wasn't putting up 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. Brock Purdy had 31 touchdowns. He's a game manager? Man, fuck out of here.
I know, right? That's just people not liking him. And by the way, more people are Shannon Sharp again talking about Brock Purdy and kind of like a Cam Newton, still saying a bunch of derogatory nonsense about him. I mean, other players are now starting to call him out. I think Jeff Saturday called him out on it this time around, kind of made it clearer. I don't think there's anything to really make clear when you mention the numbers that he's had and you look at where the team has gone and they wouldn't have been there without him. You kind of see what he is. This is just his second year. He went to Iowa State. How many quarterbacks even come out of Iowa State at all? He's Mr. Irrelevant. All of these storylines attached to him, I think it makes bait for people like Shannon Sharp or Cam Newton just to say this kind of thing. saying that he doesn't deserve, he's just a game manager. You're still talking like that when he's going to the Super Bowl, doing better than Tom Brady did in his first season in the Super Bowl. And you're kind of looking for him to do a lot of the same or even regress in his third year, whereas anyone else, you've been looking for them to have a positive upward trajectory.
Yeah, and they probably would have gone to the Super Bowl last year if he didn't get hurt.
If he didn't get hurt. But he showed out as best he could last year when the injury was there, and he was trying to just really show his teammates, and he almost did it this year. But you go against someone like Mahomes, who's a future Hall of Famer, I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer if he left football today, and possibly I hate to say it so soon, the greatest quarterback in the NFL. If he gets a three-peat, man, I think Tom Brady just disappears. He just kind of drops down to number 2 and drops my man at number 3, John Elway.
Could be. But I guess there was some talk that Joe Burrow wasn't feeling, and he tweeted mass amnesia, the hunter.
Mass amnesia. Now, you got to stay healthy. We know what kind of talent he has,
but he's the only one. He's the only active quarterback with the win over Mahomes in the playoffs. So.
And you know what? That may mean something, but Mahomes is still the one now with multiple Super Bowls and MVPs.
I'm not sure what he heard or what the narrative was that set him off, but if people are saying back in the day, you knew no matter what, somehow the Patriots were going to make a play and win the game, and that's where the Chiefs are now. That's where they are now.
Yep.
Your quarterback can play well, but Mahomes is going to play just a little bit better. Joe Burrow's not feeling that talk. Joe Burrow's he's 3-1 against Mahomes.
Yeah,
he
but
just got to stay healthy.
Exactly. Stay healthy. And when did it really, really matter? He went to the Super Bowl and did what? Exactly. He lost 2. So Joe Burrow has to stay healthy. And even when he's healthy, well, he's not winning. Where it matters with the talk that he's talking. And I want Joe Burrow to succeed. He's one of these quarterbacks, even if he's not your guy, you kind of like him because he goes out there. You see that people respect him on both sides of the ball. I mean, on both teams, his own team and then the other team, because he goes out there. He's a hell of a competitor. He doesn't seem to rub people the wrong way. But making comments and tweets like this can start the process of rubbing people the wrong way. You just got to stay healthy, man. So it's going to come to a point where people are more interested in what you're doing instead of what your potential is. And I think he's getting to that point because he's kind of giving him a little leg and pulling it back. People getting kind of fed up with it, probably his own fans as well.
The only thing about the Bengals, they got Chase and Higgins coming up for contracts. I don't think they're going to be able to pay both of them.
Both?
Is either one of them going to accept a team-friendly deal? Probably not.
You can franchise someone, but that's going to just get people pissed off. That's what the franchise tag does for that one season. You keep tagging over and over Saquon Barkley. We saw that just this past season with the Giants. And now he's just glad. He said all the right things after he got his nearly $1 million raise. And then now he's just talking again, like, you know what? He doesn't mind leaving the Giants. Yeah, okay. We understand. The talk doesn't even matter anymore. Go on the field and perform. And in this day and age, you don't necessarily get what you're worth in your opinion. You get what the market says you're worth. And if your market, especially running backs, is dropping, well, you're going to get the best salary that a dropping running back can get.
Yeah.
Sucks how it happens.
And the Bears have a lot of cap space, so they should
21 million right now.
They should be very active in free agency.
Yeah, and I think now when free agency comes, it's all a matter of you bring in the players and you try to make them feel at home. It's like recruiting all over again. Right. And then they have to buy into what you're saying about a possible run at a championship. What can you give them, give this player who you bring in, in his mind of, okay, we're doing things the right way. You're going to be a pioneer to this potential championship that we're trying to have. Every team says the same thing, whether they have a whole bunch of cap space or a little bit of cap space and have to be creative. They all say the same. Who's going to come? What can the Bears say to a player?
It comes down to money. The best offer.
Well, we've seen that part because what was it? Hopkins did the same thing with the money. I mean, he went to the Tennessee Titans, man. He could have gone somewhere else if he wanted to really win. And he had that kind of talent, DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, but what can you tell a player though? With all things equal, you need to come to Chicago for what reason?
Because they're offering the highest amount. There you go.
So I mean, if it's just about money, so don't act like you want to win a championship. Then, so do the big name guys come because of the money, or the big guys can also be the reason why things do turn around? I think they're probably more turned around than the public may think right now, because we saw kind of at the end of the season things started changing defensively.
Right. I don't know if they really need a big game guy, big name guy. They just need somebody to complement Sweat on the other side of the line.
Mm-hmm.
They need somebody who's not afraid to tackle, unlike Eddie Jackson. Somebody who can have actually coverage tight or cover tight ends or ball hawk. Eddie Jackson used to ball hawk. Then he got his bag, and I don't know what happened to that dude.
Get too comfortable.
So, with a better pass rush, it makes things easier on the DBs. Get somebody who's not going to be afraid to get his nose in there, get dirty, like John Brisker.
Mm-hmm.
Brisker will come up and tag you.
No.
But if you can just get solid players, get a bunch of solid players instead of like one superstar for the same amount of money, that's going to help your roster and your team on the field.
Whatever happened with that Yannick Ngakoue experiment? Is he going to stay, or was it a 1-year contract? I didn't know the details of when he came there.
I don't know. I don't know the details of his contract. I just know he didn't make much of a splash.
Nah, initially I remember him getting some pressures in the beginning. That was pretty much the end of it. Once people realized, okay, because where he's been, he's done fairly well getting after the quarterback. In fact, he got after the quarterback here in Jacksonville. I think there may be some things off the field that may be some issues for him. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I just think that has to be something out there for him to go from team to team as young as he was, doing as well as he had done for the time he had done it. But this time with Chicago, not necessarily getting the job done if they're still looking for someone to get pressure on the quarterback, and that's what he was allegedly brought in to do. So now we just got to finish up with some NFL football, college football coming up with spring practice next month. And before you know it, another transfer portal opening, I think, at the end of spring practice. But we're not going to worry about that because basketball, the NBA, going into the All-Star weekend. But come on, we got to talk about.
Hang on. Who the hell is John Brisker? Jaquan Brisker. My bad.
Bobby Brisker.
One of your jobs talking about Josh Purdy.
Bro, I got a good job at Josh Purdy, man. I got him out of there, man. Brock has been staying for a while now. But NBA basketball, Wemby's 10 blocks the other night, man. Looking pretty damn.
Did they win though?
Huh?
Did they win that game?
They got blown out, man.
I mean, this kid efforts there.
Playing volleyball with these boys, man. He had 7 turnovers as well. But man, the dude, 10 blocks, man. You're talking about stats that people say Wilt had, but we didn't even have stats for that at the time.
Well, I say the effort's there, but he is 7'4". He probably blocked 4 or 5 of those just standing there with his hands up. But no, 10 blocks, that's nothing to sneeze at. Man.
Hell no. That dude's getting after it, man. Rookie of the year, obviously. I wanted Chet Holmgren to win, but it looks like even at this point, if something catastrophic doesn't happen, it's Wemby's to lose.
Could be. There's still more basketball to play. You got the
a whole lot more
All-Star game coming up. But what was Steve Kerr thinking? He had been benching Klay Thompson at the end of games.
Yeah.
And last night, Podziemski makes a 3 in the corner to cut the lead to 3 with like 38 seconds left. So they just got to play defense, hope they get a stop, come down, they can tie.
Mm-hmm.
He went and fouled the guy, gave him 2 free throws. And Steve Kerr fell to his knees. Like, what are you doing? And he gets up. I don't know. You give him a chance and then he makes a bonehead play like that. He either lost track of the score or he did the shit on purpose. There's no other option. And how do you not know what the score is?
Well, when they ultimately lost a game to the Clippers, but
right.
They were relatively hot for a moment based on what they've been doing before that.
They won 5 in a row.
5 in a row.
Maybe 8 of 11, something like that. and they were up on the Clippers, but they blew it towards the end. But Clay was in the game and he made that foul. Not that they were going to stop them from scoring, or maybe they wouldn't have even got the rebound, but at least they would have had a better shot instead
Yeah.
of giving Westbrook 2 free throws. But did you see the little? I can't even call it a scrap. The little, not even a skirmish between. Well, who was it between? It wasn't really between anybody, but Draymond was over there hollering
Draymond again. Nah, I didn't
because
see it.
because Plumlee had. I think Pajemski. I think he flopped because Plumlee was frustrated. It looked like he got fouled. Pajemski had the loose ball. Everybody's running down court, and Plumlee's lapping at him. And Pajemski goes down holding his face. And Kuminga sees him going down. He goes and he pushes Plumlee. So the whole bench, the Clippers bench gets up. Tyronn Lue's hollering. He gets a technical. He gets a second
He
technical.
gets
He
thrown
gets
out. Yeah.
ejected. I don't know. I think it was much ado about nothing because they called it a flagrant one, but I don't even think he hit Pajemski in the face. He just sold the call, which is bogus. He should get a fine for that.
Man, you think
But,
replay would be able to show them exactly what
right.
happened?
When they go look at it, do we need to upgrade it to a flagrant 2 or was it a common foul? They called it a flagrant 1. And I mean, he was whacking down hard trying at the ball, but I don't even think he was whacking at the ball. He was just frustrated because he didn't get the foul call. So he's like, I'm gonna whack somebody. They didn't call it right away, so he kept whacking them. But from that point on, the Clippers took control and they ended up winning the game. I think they were down 11 at that point, something like that.
So do you notice that teams start playing differently as the All-Star game is coming closer? It's like they just teams that were hot kind of cool off and they really don't seem to care, or they're resting their players because some of those players want to go out and show off before the All-Star game because they know once the All-Star game is over, down the stretch they come, they're really going to show the pretenders from the contenders, and you'll get a chance to see who the real elite teams are by then. I mean, I'm not saying that because the Knicks are like the worst team this month.
Are you asking about someone specifically?
No, I'm just asking about the NBA overall. Okay. Just teams that we think are hot, teams that we think are good, teams we know are better than what they're showing right now. The Knicks have a reason to lose because of all these injuries, but so I'm not gonna just use them as an example. But overall, teams that you could expect to win, and they just don't win the way you think they should win. I don't know what, Philadelphia, I guess, or I don't know. I mean, the Warriors were getting hot, but the Clippers are the hot team. You know what I mean? So it's not like, they're not doing what they've been doing of late.
Well, the Warriors, they just barely made it back to 500. So
yeah.
they can't afford to take their foot off the gas. And then if you look at the standings in the West, you got so many teams within like 3-5 games of each other. I think the Lakers are in the 9th spot, but they're only 3 games away from the 6th spot. So nobody can afford to take their foot off the gas. If you end up 7 through 10, you're in the playing game. You could be one and done. So maybe the Nuggets, the T-Wolves, they can afford a game off here or there. They're at the top of the conference, but those teams in the middle and 7 through 10, they got to keep their foot on the gas.
Yeah, but do you think typically teams just wait till after the All-Star break because they know that there's nothing else after that? They just know they have to really put it down. If you're behind right now, you try to get what you can before the All-Star break because you kind of heal up, and then you really get to put the pedal to the metal after the All-Star break and really go for it. Like the Lakers, it's almost like they're almost on the cusp of being as good as they should be, but then they don't. They lose. They end up losing and going on a losing streak. And it doesn't seem like they're going to have the consistency to do anything of consequence even after the All-Star break. And by the way, what about this story? Why bring up these stories after the fact when the Warriors are saying they were thinking about getting LeBron?
Maybe because they tried to get him.
But would that have helped the team? I mean, really, do you think LeBron right now would help the team in the disarray they're in right now in terms of the overall production? They need a big man. They don't need LeBron.
He can play the 5 in this era.
Oh, yeah? They got Draymond Green playing it.
Right.
Man,
I mean, he's 6'9" and pretty much built like a tank. So yeah, he could play the 5 in this era. He don't have to bang every night with the Ewings, the Malones, and all those guys.
See, years ago, I mean, years ago, they wouldn't have been, LeBron, they wouldn't, obviously the Warriors wouldn't have needed him, but it's like having Kevin Durant all over again. Nah, not this time. Even LeBron doing well at this age for a basketball player, I don't really think it really would have mattered for the Warriors, even in the second half of the season. I still think they do a lot of what the Lakers are doing right now with LeBron, if they would have gotten him.
I don't know. I don't know. I think he takes them to another level because,
You think so?
yeah, you pair him up. You run pick and roll with him and Steph. What are you going to do? You going to stop LeBron from going to the basket, or you going to leave Steph open for a three?
Yeah, you're gonna have some problems. Yeah, and then no one's playing defense.
And not only that, not only that, LeBron can kick it to the corner to Kuminga, or throw an alley oop to Kuminga, kick it to the corner to Wiggins. If Clay gets his jumper, if Kuminga is hitting his threes, if Wiggins is hitting threes, how are you going to stop LeBron from going to the basket? The floor's going to be so wide open. And if you collapse to cut off his lane, you're picking your poison. Right.
Yeah. And another thing, I was watching Kevin Garnett just the other day, and I don't know how long ago this came out. I don't know if he's throwing shade towards LeBron or just the overall generation of basketball players when he was talking about how they have the longevity and how, the rules are in place that players don't have to play as much. I think he might have mentioned John Stockton, how often he played. John Stockton's like the Iron Man of basketball. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yo, you know what? If you're getting all these breaks, you should be able to play 20 years, 25 years. It makes some sense.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. I think he's dropping some common sense into the basketball and the bullshit narratives out there.
Man, well, that's the truth, man. But that you know what? I don't know why something laying right there which is so obvious. I didn't even really think about that. I was like, man, you just look at year after year, whether it's LeBron or even Chris Paul, even though he gets injured every year, you just think, man, these dudes are still around and grinding it out, man. They're definitely all-time great.
And I'll tell you, I'll tell you why he said it, because he didn't load manage.
He was saying, I think the end of it was like screw load management.
I can't say that anybody ever played harder than Kevin Garnett. A lot of people played hard, but I know Kevin Garnett is up there as playing hard as anybody. And I know from playing basketball growing up, there were some days where we would start at like 11 o'clock and we wouldn't finish until the lights were coming on, the street lights were coming on.
Yeah.
We'd go to the water hose to get water, and my hand would be shaking. And I was watching the game. Kevin Garnett reached for that drink. The cup he went to drink and his hand was shaking. I'm like, man, I know he's playing hard. Because I know that feeling. I know that feeling, man. Playing for 7 hours, being tired as hell. I know that feeling. So I know KG put in work, man.
Man, a friend of mine, well, you already know, we had him on our show a few times during the boxing time. Andre the Boxer, he knows a little thing about basketball and whatnot. He has his favorite basketball players. He's telling me that Zeke could not play in today's era, that he would be a regular point guard. I was like, nah, bro, Zeke can play in any era, I think. You kidding? I think he's wrong. I told him I was going to ask you, man.
I'm a Pistons hater, but Zeke could play right now, man.
Exactly, and I think he'll be just as effective or even more this time.
Yeah, it'd be even easier. Nobody's going to come across the lane and drop an elbow on his mug, like Karl Malone did.
Yeah, right?
That's just not going to happen. And now you can't really touch guys with the ball. I mean, you think Kyrie's handles are crazy, and they are.
Same thing, man.
And Kyrie does have crazy handles. Man, Isaiah had crazy handles. You ain't not stopping him from getting to where he wants to go. And he could shoot. So
that's what I told him. So I was like,
he'd probably average 30. He'd be like Iverson right now.
And I told him, I was like, yo, you think Devin Booker is better than Zeke?
Even a better shooter.
I asked him, did he think Devin Booker was better than Zeke? I was like, yo, bro, I'll take Zeke, man.
Devin Booker's a better shooter from range, but overall better player, it's Isaiah.
Yeah, I think it's Isaiah.
Booker's got some work to do before he gets up into that realm.
He needs to win a game that he scores 70-plus points, 60-plus points. It's like if he scores 60, man, you just put your head down. Damn, we're going to lose. Come on, man, just score 20, we can get the win. Yeah, but that's just something he brought up. He named a few players. He mentioned Sean Kemp. I mean, bro, Sean Kemp's could kill right now too. What are you talking about, man?
He was
Man,
throwing shade at Kemp.
huh? Oh
He
no,
was throwing
I
shade.
don't know if it was necessarily shade. He was like, man, I don't know if Sean Kemp could have played today. I mean, the athletes are better and the rules are different, but they'll be different for him too if he was playing today. Sean Kemp was a freak.
Kevon Looney, man, trade Sean Kemp for Kevon Looney. See what happens with the Warriors.
And he'll change things around. Well, but yeah, that Zeke and that Zeke can't playing in this era kind of thing was the thing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna ask Bias about that. He knows a lot more about this than me. But I was like, I've seen Zeke play, man. But being up there in Chicago area, man, you know pretty much everything about Zeke, and that's the truth. And that's when I brought up the Devin Booker deal. I was like, man, you telling me Devin Booker's better than Zeke? And he's like, well, I don't know. If you're gonna say that, you already answered your question.
He's a better shooter, but overall player, no, I take Isaiah.
Yeah. But anyway, man, yeah, going into the All-Star break, only 3 games tonight. Milwaukee playing the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies aren't even worth watching anymore. That's not even the same team. It's a different freaking team. And didn't they just trade Steve Adams during the trade deadline?
Yeah, and he's hurt. Can't even play.
They traded him a busted commodity, man. What's up with that? And someone took it.
I don't know.
So you don't know how the rehab is going, how it's going to end, how he's going to do when he comes out. But someone's confident enough to get him.
Then who traded for Dinwiddie? Was it the Raptors?
Yeah, the Raptors. But then the Raptors put him on waivers though. They waived.
Yeah, they cut him.
Yeah, they
signed with the Lakers. I heard.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, before the knee injury, Dinwiddie was actually a pretty damn solid player with the Nets the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was. I mean, for what they had, he was the best of it. But when they brought that big 3 in, he became pretty expendable, especially after the knee injury.
Yeah,
he bounced around, but. Anyway.
Yeah, but how about the Lakers winning without LeBron?
He hates that.
Yeah.
He don't want to win. Not without him.
I don't know. Hey, you know, he might need to start deferring to Anthony Davis. But the problem with that is can you trust Anthony Davis?
That's the point right there. Because you defer to Anthony Davis and everybody jumps on the bandwagon and the bandwagon goes as it goes with Anthony Davis. It's just a matter of time before it comes to that stop. And he stopped. And then the bandwagon wheels fall off and you're back to square one.
Yeah, we say that, but he's been healthy this year. Usually by this time, he's missed a ton of games.
Yeah, but I watched some games earlier this season when this guy fell out, but he actually came back the same game. And I'm like, man,
see, I told you.
Down. This guy's rubbing something.
I told you before. I think his threshold for pain is very low. Where he looks like, oh, damn, that's a bad injury. He's rolling on the ground. He's screaming.
Back in the wheelchair.
And then he sits on the bench for 2 minutes. Oh, it feels better. All right, I'm good. But that initial pain, he doesn't have a strong threshold for pain, is my opinion.
Yeah, because that game I saw him in, he went to the locker room, and I was like, he's done because typically Anthony Davis.
And he came out and got like 14 and 12 after he got injured, right?
Yeah, and then he comes back out okay, so maybe he learned how to handle these injuries. But yeah, I guess that threshold for pain, this guy, he got to get through that initial burn before he settles in and starts playing well again. Yeah, but when we're going into the second half of the NBA, but you have the dunk contest isn't what it used to be because first of all, no one really wants to join it. I would have loved to have seen John Morant in previous dunk contests. We know why he can't do it this year. You know what I mean? Well, LeBron isn't going to anybody's dunk contest because what can he really do? At this age, especially.
Yeah, not now.
Nah.
I mean, like Michael Jordan stopped doing it because he said it took too much out of his legs and he had nothing else to prove. He had a couple dunk championships. So there ain't no way a 38, 39-year-old LeBron's gonna
we need some short guys in there anyway. Get some airtime, like Nate Robinson.
But for me, my interest in NBA All-Star Weekend is pretty much zero.
Not even the festivities.
I mean, they got Steph shooting, facing off against a woman.
A woman, yeah.
Come on, man! It's turning into a circus. So, I'm got no interest in All-Star Weekend. The 3-point shootout, the dunk contest. Like maybe if Anthony Edwards got in it, there's not even any stars are getting into the dunk contest.
Nah, it hasn't been that way for a while though. I mean,
Yeah.
really, it hasn't. You get, I don't know, man. I remember what Skywalker won that joint way back in the day. Kenny Walker won it way back in the day. Another pretty much nobody
Yeah, what was
doing the
that,
dunk
86?
contest. Who?
Yeah. You know who else has hops? I don't think is in it. Kaminga. Man, that dude can bounce.
And these are the guys who don't go into it. And whatever
Yeah.
their reasoning is, whatever. And Ja, we see Ja dunking the way he's been dunking, and he doesn't get into the contest. And people want him to get into it. All he has to say, I'm going to be in it, and it may just elevate other guys who might want to get competitive and get into it. But it just hasn't been that way, man. Just wait for the game, and hopefully it's like way back in the day when they give you your entertainment's dollars worth, and then at least in the last 4 minutes they try to act like they want to win.
I heard they took like 100 3-point shots last year.
Whoa. See,
That's crazy.
With that. That's crazy,
And
man.
they don't play no defense. It's like there's hardly no effort. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters having a scrimmage almost, because you got Steph throwing bounce pass alley oops, and you got guys trying to do double pump 360s, and okay, it's nice. But why didn't you get in the dunk contest?
Man, they acting like the '92 Olympic team in the way they play. They can't play like that now, but yeah, that's how they play.
Plus, they change the format all the time. Like now, we're going to draft the team. It's not even the East versus West. There's no competition in that game.
Yeah, that's true. People, like the schoolyard, you just pick your team. That's how it is now. But yeah, before we go, man, I wanted to mention just one of these marathoners. I know no one really watches marathons and whatnot, but hey, I do a little bit of running. But this Kelvin Kiptum from Kenya, he was killed a couple of days ago. He set the record, a 2-hour mile in the German marathon, in the Berlin Marathon. And there was going to be yes, bro, that's sick. I mean, nauseating to think about it. But man, at 24 years old, he was looking at to be one of the superstars of long distance running marathons, of course. And he would have been in Paris going against probably one of the best. It would have been one of the best matchups for people. And it might have been one of those things that kind of became mainstream only because of the identity of both runners, him and Eliud Kipchoge, who's a countryman of his, both from Kenya. And that battle was supposed to happen. And now we're not going to get a chance to see it. But for him, 24 years old and already at 2 hours and trying to go underneath 2 hours for the freaking marathon, 26.2 miles, bruh. I mean, you barely doing that in your freaking car, let alone a bicycle, man. But anyway, he passed away.
Crazy. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But so let me close out on something. Let me congratulate Caitlin Clark for breaking the scoring record. She's 8 points away. She's gonna do it tonight.
Oh, you know it.
Unless something catastrophic happens. So congratulations, Caitlin Clark.
Absolutely.
And
they're pissed off about it.
Anybody out there throwing shades, that's for you.
You know it, man. You need to go put them in the crosshairs for that nonsense that they do. You know it's coming.
Yeah, I heard that Cheryl Swoops doubled down on her comments. How the fuck you double down on lies?
Well, we know why you're doubling down. It just sounds stupid that you're doubling down, because if it's one of your buddies, you'd be kissing her asses the way you would have been kissing her ass. But now it's because somebody you don't want to break the record, and the logic she's using, well, it should have been done in the same amount of games. She's doing it in fewer games.
It's not even logic. It's just fabricated lies.
It's just stuff, gray matter. I'm insulting gray matter. Just a black hole. That's what it is.
Throwing darts and hoping shit sticks. And there's idiots out there who believe her lies.
Just accept that this woman is as great a basketball player in college and the potential to do just as much or even bringing eyeballs to the WNBA that you've been craving for all of these years. So I guess since your inception, won't you just appreciate that? They can't, because they're so caught up in their usual bigotry instead of just the basketball they claim to love so much.
Yeah, they didn't expect it to be a white girl from Iowa.
Nope. And I tell you what, I don't think there's people out there who want a white superstar. Not in the WNBA. The NBA has them, so why not the WNBA? And they don't like it. They're going to get it anyways. And she's going to have a lot of haters, and because of that, she's going to make a lot of money. So let's take it that way, because there's a lot of people who actually love this woman too. I mean, they actually like Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I mean, she sets attendance records when she goes on the road.
Exactly. And certain people don't like it, and they don't have to like it. But It is what it is, and she's gonna dominate. Now, what she does in WNBA may be a different story because I thought that Brittany Griner was going to be an absolute stud in the WNBA, and she's one of the best ever, but still not doing exactly what I thought she would do. I thought she would be one of these people that, even for PR purposes, let's bring her up to the NBA to a camp or even G League and let her do something and see how far she can go. I thought that would have been the one they would have used, and she's not.
The whole thing is like. The whole thing is, if she was just a scorer, then maybe you can throw some shade. All she does is shoot. All she does is shoot. But she rebounds, she drops dimes,
Yep.
steals. Come on, man. I don't know how anybody can watch her play and not enjoy it. I don't. I said it before. I'll say it again. I'm addicted to her highlights, man.
Bro, it's worth it.
I'll be looking for them later tonight. I'm not going to watch the game, but I'll be looking for the highlights later tonight before bedtime.
You know what I'm saying? So while the WNBA is ready or possibly losing to high school boys teams, we'll watch Caitlin Clark do what she does in college until she gets to the WNBA. And you'll just have to deal with it. And you know she's going to get the endorsement, so there's going to be even more vitriol from the hyenas out there who don't like her. Yeah. And we don't care. You know, on that note, we'll be back on Monday. And if Monday of next week is anything like from Monday to Thursday of this week, there's going to be a lot to talk about. But at least the All-Star game, you're not watching any of it, or you just might just tune in a little bit?
Probably not.
Well, so we might have to find something else to talk about.
Like last year, I heard McClung won the dunk contest and he did some good shit. So I watched the highlights on YouTube. But watching live, nah. I can find a lot of better things to do than watch the sorry-ass NBA dunk contest.
No, I haven't watched the NBA All-Star game in years anyway. I mean, I don't know when I stopped watching. I guess we'll start doing this little pickup deal.
If I were to watch anything, it would be the dunk contest. The game, no chance.
What about the what are they doing? The sophomores versus the rookies, I guess, whatever it is.
Yeah, I never watched one of those. Not even when there's two Bulls playing. Nah, I don't play. I don't watch it.
Well, they need to change it up, man. How about those guys versus some international team? I don't know.
Like you know they're reaching when they're coming out with skills tests and all that. Like because nobody gives a shit about the scrubs out there.
That's true. Well, we'll figure it out. Well, they'll figure it out this weekend, and we'll come back with something else. Boxing matches are, I guess, coming up as well.
Haney's gonna take Garcia to school, man. That dude has not developed his skills. He's all hype.
It's funny how Garcia just talks after what just happened to him and the way it happened against Tank. You know, he just talking nonsense to Haney as if Haney got the same treatment. No, man, you're the one who got the same treatment. He just completely ignores it and says a bunch of nonsense to Haney. Haney's going to absolutely school him. The only shot Ryan Garcia has is the same shot he had against Tank, and that was the left hook. And we saw what happened with that. It didn't work. And Haney has too many skills to get hit with that. You know, Tio's last fight, I don't know if we talked about that. Bro, that wasn't it. Jermaine Ortiz, I like that talent, man. I guess the styles making fights really stood out on this, and it made it a boring fight.
I stayed up for that fight, man. I was so pissed off at the end. I was like, why did I stay up for this
fight? Like Bo Crusher Smith versus Mike Tyson. That kind of a fight. Henry Akuwande versus Lennox Lewis. At least it only lasted 2 rounds or 3 rounds. Man. But anyway, that's Bias on Trav, and the Sports Bag Bros podcast is signing off on a Thursday. A huge Thursday considering what happened between Monday and Thursday. We'll see you next Monday. Deuces.
Adios.